Hi there, today we have a bronze 2 Anran, looking to become a better Anran. So I had an interesting match where I felt like I was doing well, but I want pointers. I'm kind of stuck in bronze. Anran has been pulling me out of it, and I definitely feel myself getting a lot better. I have a match code where I feel like I did really good. Can I get tips on what I could do better and what I'm doing well so I know what to practice, what bad habits to drop, and go from there? Okay, yep, we can do that. So Anran is actually a pretty nice hero to play because she's very mobile, right? Any hero that's like very mobile is going to be easier in lower ranks to play against people because people just aren't going to be as aware. So if I just had to guess, I'm assuming you're Oric. So if I had to guess, some of your bad habits are just going to include showing yourself in front of the enemies too often and solo engaging like by yourself when your team can't follow up and not having cooldowns. That like those are just the three things that I'd have to assume. But you know, we won't know until we actually watch the game. So Anran is like one of the most flank heavy heroes in the game. Like you really want to be playing in front of people, and the reason why you don't want to do that is because you don't have as good poke as, for example, any of them. Laura beats you in the faces to face. Ashe, Echo, Anna, Orisa. So like you want to wait until they're busy, like this, and then you want to engage. Okay, cool. She's low. You gotta get out though. Okay, nice. We're just gonna speed through this. She's chasing, you run. Cool. Yeah, okay. So already I've seen two major issues, okay? So, issue number one, well, like it's less of an issue and more of a personal thing. When you've got all of your cooldowns, it's usually better to go for the dash and the E because, as you probably know, the dash and the E fill up half of your ignite bar. So if you dash through this guy, and then, like, you know, you can do some damage, but I prefer to just dash and E to avoid taking too much damage. If you dash, that's half the bar. Use your E, that's the other half of the bar. She's on fire, and now you're out of the E, and she's going to be, like, half HP or something. You can use your fans until, like, you either get the kill or until you get put in danger, and then you just get out. That's what gameplay loop I like, but, like, you'll notice here, because you didn't dash this guy initially, you we're gonna have a hard time lighting him on fire, and then he was already able to react to you, and then obviously you kind of overstayed your welcome here, and you needed to get out. The second thing is I'll show you in a second, and this is one of the things that I predicted. You'll notice you went in when you had no ability to get out. So like engaging here isn't terrible because they're kind of busy with the Reinhardt here, right? Like, you know, I mean, like, they weren't that busy, but like, you know, it's a good engage. But you'll notice you have no dash. So even if you wanted to, you have no ability to get out, right? As Anran or as any hero, it's super important that you always have a way to disengage, right? And that's going to be with your second dash, right? Anran is a very cooldown focused character, and you really want to make sure you have all of your cooldowns when you want to engage. So like you're trying to cap the point, or stop them from capping. This is fine. Okay, again, you see how we're dying because we're staying in too long. So like this time, like you died in the same way, but this time you stayed, or like this time you died because you got greedy, right? So this engage is fine. I don't like that you engaged like from their faces, but you didn't really have a choice, so it's whatever. And I also like the engage here. And again, like right, you do the dash E combo. And if you actually hit the dash, then you're going to light them on fire. The issue is that now you're engaged, right? All of them are going to be looking at you, which means you need to just like try and dash out, maybe dash back on, because they're going to all kill you. Now, like in this case, sure, you know, they were going to cap the point, but like the junk actually touched. So like you could have got shot by them all, dashed off, and then junk's going to touch anyway, right? So just looking at your gameplay, I feel like I can kind of get the issue. You're either going to die too much because you stay in for too long, or you go in without a cooldown. I feel like that's going to be the main issue here. But let's see. So a lot of Anran is, like I was talking about earlier, is going to be a lot of flanking, and flanking takes a lot of setting up, right? Where like you want to find angles as to where you can get behind people. Okay, whatever. Cool. Okay, this is fine. So because this is bronze, people are going to be very unaware, and that's what I meant by Anran going to be really good. Because even though they just shot you over here, right, they're not actually going to keep looking. So this is where Anran thrives, right? This is what you would call an off angle, right? Because the enemies are looking, you know, elsewhere. And you're somewhere on the map where they're not currently paying attention to, which makes it really easy for you to catch them off guard and kind of get the first hit in. And that first hit as Anran is super important because that's going to help you light them on fire. And then, guess what? You have a dash. They start looking at you after you've engaged. That's when you can get out. Now, I think you're in a really bad spot because none of your teammates can really bail you out or help you here. But I think in terms of like catching them off guard, you're actually doing a decent job because I mean, none of them are looking at you. Okay, we have ult, so we can get aggressive. This is fine. Usually, I would say like, oh yeah, if you don't have dash, I wouldn't want you to get aggressive. Okay, I don't know what we're doing here. So I want you to spectate the Ashe's POV and ask yourself if you look a bit dumb. Okay. So like, look at you on her POV. Oh wow, there's just an Anran walking in my face. You don't want to be walking in open space, especially. Look, if you're gonna walk in open space, at least be aware you're doing it and be aware of like, okay, yeah, there's gonna be an Ashe here. I need to be careful because like, you're just kind of bot walking, you know, in front of this guy, and you could have died. If this guy was a bit of a better player, then you would have died. It's like, yeah, you're doing the combo a bit more now, where like you dash in. And then you E, and you see how she's already lit on fire. You just need to actually hit the fans to kill her. So good stuff, good stuff. Okay, now we need to go find more enemies. We don't want to sit on the payload here. Why? Because our team is fighting up here, right? So us sitting on the payload doesn't matter. Because if your team loses the fight up here, and they have to go out to spawn, well, the enemies are going to be able to push the car anyway, because they're going to force you out. So it's better to help the main fight that is up here, because look, you can give them a bit of objective progress, you know, if the Anna walks up, but if you kill these guys, well, then it's going to be the reverse. They can't really push the objective now because your team's going to come back to the cart and give the Anna a hard time, so she has to get off it anyway, right? So this doesn't really help anyone because you're not at the main fight. Because I noticed the like difference here. Now obviously at this point, it's so far away where it's like, I mean, you may as well stay here. But as soon as you like kill off the Ashe here, I would be thinking about getting over here because this is a lot closer to you, right? And it's more relevant. Obviously, the longer you stay here, the less relevant it becomes. But that's just kind of how that went. So yeah, as Anran, you want to be catching people off guard as much as possible. Also, try and make sure you're using your dash with like a purpose, right? You want to make sure that you're actually going to hit the guy instead of just using it to walk around, right? Because sure, like it's good to use it to walk around, but because you didn't hit the guy, you weren't able to light her on fire, and it was a lot harder to get that kill than it should have been. And also again, because you didn't light him on fire before, you felt the need to have to go in and burn him, but now you've got no cooldowns, so now they're going to kill you, right? You see how you're dying because you don't have that dash to get out? If you res it, that'd be pretty funny. You could. So your main issues are just kind of getting too greedy right now. You know, either going in when you don't have cooldowns or staying in for too long. All right, let's see what we do here. Nice, good. I'm liking like you seem to like intuitively understand flanking and like creating angles, because instead of walking in front of this guy, you went to the sides. Like that was good. And you'll notice, right, the Moira is paying attention to what's in front of her, and you're coming on the side, so it's gonna be really good for you. Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. If you wanted to ult these guys, do it first. For the same reason why you want to do the dash E combo, because if you can catch them off guard and get a lot of damage off, you you may as well just use the ult first, because the Anna already knew you were there, right? Pay attention. When you engaged her and used E, she already knew you were there, so she was ready to look at you with sleep. Hence why you got slept out of your ultimate, right? When you should have just used it first. Because the element of surprise is so important on Anran that like if you get caught like that, you're just dead. Okay, the Ashe is up here. Nice. Dash E. You see how she's immediately lit on fire? Okay, there. Again, you almost die because you get too greedy, right? Look at how many enemies are on the payload, and you're engaging on your own. That's the first thing that I talked about, right? Where you don't want to engage the enemies on your own. Why? Because even if they are busy, let's say everyone was looking frontwards at this Mercy, because there's no one around to follow up on your damage, they're all going to turn around and try and shoot you, right? So just because you forced off the Ashe from the higher ground doesn't mean you have to push. What you should do right now is just wait up here for your team to come back, and then when they make contact, like around here, that's when you can drop and actually start engaging, right? Because you almost died. Why? Because one, you got too greedy, and now because you got too greedy, you have no dash to get out, right? You can see how this is a recurring problem. And like now, because, okay, the reason why you don't want to engage early is if you die, well, that's bad, you're dead. But if you don't die and you get forced out, well, then you have to wait for your cooldowns before you can engage again. You see how passive you have to play, and you can't, you know, poke or anything, right? You have to play really passive, and you're gonna miss the engagement, right? People are busy, and you're just a little bit late. Now you are able to catch Shyana, and this is good. Perfect engagement, okay? Let's talk about it, right? So you could have waited for your dash to come back a little bit, but it's fine. So, okay, let me tell you something you can min-max. Before dashing, let yourself get closer. Diana's already busy. Let yourself get as close as possible, and then honestly, go for the left clicks, right? The little like two-shot fan thing. Because she's not paying attention, you can walk right up behind her, and then, you know, assuming she doesn't hear you, you can just shoot her in the head, and then you don't even need to use the dash, and then you've got 2 dashes for free. But otherwise, nice, because you caught her off guard, you did the dash E combo, and that's going to be the most effective way to get a kill. There, why are you dead? Because you're getting greedy, right? You killed the Anna, and you already got your value, but then they started paying attention to you, right? So now, guess what you need to do? When the Mora pays attention to you and starts doing damage, dash out. Get out, right? Because you see how they turn around. You engage, they're busy, but then you keep engaging, and they start turning around. You're doing good because your team is able to kill their team because they're not paying attention. But now that they look at you, you need to run away because now you're getting too greedy, and they end up capping the point because of that. So I know this has kind of been a yapathon, and I'm gonna start to kind of slow down because you're gonna see the same repetitive issues, right? Good engage, get out, nice. So now we've gone over like the main issues that I think you have getting like too greedy and stuff. I want to really speed run through this. So here, the problem is that you're engaging in their face. What you could do is instead of walking here, like ask yourself, is there other angles I can go to catch them off guard? And yes, there is. Go from here because all of the enemies are paying attention to this area. Go on the left, walk out, and then catch them off guard here. You want to do that as much as possible. Otherwise, good dash, good E, good stuff. And then when we get looked at, dash out. Perfect, cool. So at the end of this game, I'm going to kind of give you things to stop doing and things to keep doing, right? Because that's what you kind of asked for. Okay, cool. This is fine because you have your teammates here. And like, you'll see like how much more valuable this ult was. I mean, they were all kind of paying attention to you, but they were also like spread out and easy to kill. That the ult really wasn't that terrible. Okay, careful. Don't get too greedy. You have no dashes. Don't get greedy because now look, you're dead, right? You see, very, very recurring issue, right? You get too greedy. Look at how much value you've gotten already. You've gotten so much value by forcing these guys back here. Just dash out, don't get greedy, right? And like this is a kind of a separate issue. You see how far away your team is? They can't follow up on you. So you're 1v3ing, but your team can't actually do anything. So just get out. You rarely want to take like big fights like this where like you are fighting multiple of them at the same time, unless you have a team with you. And even then, you don't want to stay here. Like I would try and get out at this point. Like don't even get greedy, just get out. Nice. Okay. We got too greedy, right? Why? Because we're engaging in their face. They already know where we are, so they have the advantage. Just get out, wait for them to start fighting your team, and then go in on them. Okay, so I'm actually going to skip ahead a little bit because I imagine most of your gameplay is going to be filled with the same issues, and I want to see your attack, okay? So let's kind of analyze what you've been doing good so far and what you've been doing bad. Okay, I'm going to pull up a Canva presentation for you. Okay, so we have good and bad. I'm going to list two things for each. So the good thing you're doing is that you're off-angling people, okay? And if you don't remember, like an off-angle is just somewhere where the enemies aren't already looking so that you can catch them off guard. And that's specifically going to look like, okay, let's say there's an Ashe here and she's looking this way. And like this is her field of vision, right? If you engage from any angle outside of her field of vision, this is an off angle, because what she's going to have to do is once you start shooting and doing damage, she has to turn her camera to you. And then obviously, because you don't want to be in people's faces, when you see her do that, that's when you can disengage and get out, right? So like you're doing that pretty often. Sometimes you don't do it and it puts you in danger, but you're doing it more often than not. And I want you to do this as much as possible, right? So keep surprising people, keep forcing people to turn away from whatever they're looking at to you, and that's going to be pretty good. Then the next thing is that you are pretty consistently doing the dash E combo, and the reason why this is good is because it's your most potent like kill potential, right? Because obviously dash does 50 damage, E does 50 damage, plus it like gives you half of your burn, right? So half burn plus 50 damage. This equals like 100 damage ish plus the burn, and now you can add your fans on top of that, and this is going to be your most like lethal like kill potential. So I'd say keep doing this as much as possible, and that's pretty simple, right? If you combine these two, you're gonna have it very easy. Now we're gonna talk about the things that you've kind of been doing poorly so far, and that's gonna be number one, just kind of greedy, and this just means with the Ashe example, right? Let's say she's looking this way, Kona vision, you engage from this way, she turns around, but like you stay in this like head-on fight for 2, 3, 4 seconds, right? And the longer you stay in this head-on fight, the more likely it is that one, she's going to kill you, but there's going to be other people who turn around to also shoot you, which means you're going to be more likely to die, right? Usually, unless you know for a fact this person's going to be killable like very quickly and you're also not going to die, you don't want to overstay your welcome, right? You have to reframe your mind, because right now your idea of value is probably, okay, I have to get the kill, I have to kill this guy. No, the value is in the distraction, okay? The value is in taking away people's attention from your team to you for that little bit of time, because what's going to happen when these people turn around, your team is now just going to be able to shoot these guys for free, because before the enemies were looking at them, then they look away, so now your team is just free to shoot, right? But this only works if you disengage after they see you, because if Anran's a very squishy character, they can kill you very quickly, okay? So don't get as greedy when they look at you after you've engaged. And by the way, your timing is good as well, but most of the time, but that will come with time. And then sometimes you don't have a dash to get out, right? Because to help you disengage, you need an ability to actually get out, which is why I'm saying you usually want to have both your dashes and your E, because one dash plus E is going to be like your kill threat, right? This is how you kill people, but you also need the other dash to get out, or else you're just going to be a sitting duck, right? So like these are the things that right now I'm noticing. Do more of these things, do less of these things. And how do you do less? Well, basically just have a dash to get out, and then when they look at you, dash out. Let's get back to the gameplay. I'm going to quickly go over the last round just to see if there's any more bad things that we've realized. If not, these are the things that you need to focus on. So yeah, like we're really going to kind of speed run through this just because I wanted to see how you played on attack. So hey, you almost died. Why? Because you didn't off angle these guys, right? You went directly in front of them. So where do you think you could go where you can get the same amount of value by dash E-ing, but without being in their face? Yeah, just go on the side, because why? If they're all looking this way, you simply just need to find an angle where they're not looking at, and that's going to be this side. This part of the map is going to be very good to you, because you can just go through here, dash E, and then you probably get a kill. But you take so much damage before you get in that it's really hard to live. And also, by the way, being on an off angle like easily gives you the timing, because guess what? your Mauga's going to walk in. They're all going to look at the Mauga. And then that's when the fight starts. And that's when you can go in. Like, I didn't want to talk about timing too much. Because your timing's been pretty okay overall. You've had a few situations where it's been bad. Right, so I think... yeah, you're trying to get over here. I didn't actually... I don't know if you can do that. So, if you can do this, cool. But, like, right now, what I would be doing is I would be spending time getting behind the enemies, getting to the side of enemies. Because Anran doesn't have very good poke, like I said. So, you don't really want to be taking the front-to-front battle. You want to be spending your time rotating so that when your team engages, you can actually do stuff. And, yeah, like, the enemies killed your team... Not because they suck, because their Anran's not fucking doing anything, right? If their Anran isn't distracting anyone or trying to kill their backline, well then of course the Bastion is just going to go in and kill everyone, right? Because the Anran's isn't doing anything. Which is why you want to go on the flank. So, okay, cool. You can do this. Like, that's what you were trying to do before. So, like, I see now. That's fine. Alright, so we back cap. And, like, this is kind of the power of off-angling, by the way, because even if these guys see you and they start walking back to the point, well, then guess what? They're walking away from your team, and your team can walk up for free, right? So no matter what, because you're behind them, you're creating a distraction, and that is going to help your team indirectly, whether you cap the point or not. Nice. Okay, that was really good. Right? Dash E, try and go for the kill. You realize you're not going to get the kill. This is when you dash out, right? You're not trying to get too greedy. You've already gotten the value, right? I mean the Irish is still chasing, so just keep running, I guess. This guy's just a bot. Just keep running, bro. I mean, yeah, this guy's just chasing you. You just have to run away. This is fine. Sometimes people will just like incessantly chase you. Okay, let's talk a bit about target priority. So strictly in terms of who has more hit points, like ignore the fact Orisa has armor, okay? Who has less HP right now? The Sim or the Orisa? It's basic math. Like, ignore the fact that she's fortified and stuff. Who has, in this moment right now, who has less hit points? Well, the Sim. So naturally, to win the fight faster, you should go for the Sim, because you can kill her quicker than you can kill the Orisa. I mean, you can also kill the Illari, but you don't know she's there, right? This is mostly focused on the Sim and the Orisa. Ignoring everything else, it's going to be the better idea to go for the Sim. Why? Because she's more killable, and she's not exactly paying attention to you either. You can kind of catch her off guard a bit by coming out of this door, engage her with your dash and your E, and you probably go for the kill. Because you'll notice, you went for the Orisa, but like, this guy's not taking damage. But this Sim can take a lot of damage. Also, again, you're going in without a second dash, which means now you're stranded, and it's basically up to the RNG gods if you die or not, right? Like, remember, you don't want to go in without that second dash to get out, because you're going to end up dying. So good. Ult. Try and win. Oh, nice dodge. Right here, you see how easy it is to kill the Juno? Like, she's not even looking at you one bit, so it's super easy to just kill this guy. Boom. But then you'll notice as soon as you start walking in front of people, that's when shit gets really hard. I wouldn't do this, right? Why? They're already because like sometimes you do off angles well when you shoot them when they're busy, but then sometimes you do stupid shit like this where they're already looking at you. You can hear the Bastion shooting. Why would you walk in front of the Bastion? Just go around him and get behind, right? Or at the very least, wait for him to shoot elsewhere that isn't at you and then engage him, right? Because this is just stupid. It's greedy. Going in when they're looking at you, right? Anran is not a character you want to front face people with at all, ever. Like, there you can, because he's literally 1 HP and it doesn't matter. Here's fine because it's an isolated 1v1 and it's like a special circumstance. We're going to go for the Sim. Nice. Now get out with the dash. Nice. Do that more often. Okay. I mean, this is just some crazy stuff going on here. There's not really much to talk about. Bronze is kind of just like chaos. But like, that's where you can really capitalize off of, right? This is fine. Honestly, all of this, I don't hate any of this. Like, as long as you constantly have ways to get out, I don't really hate what you're doing because you're constantly creating pressure and value. And like, if you get out and live, you know, I can't really complain, right? Like, I imagine you'll probably die here, but like, as long as you just keep distracting and you get out, that whole sequence is fine, right? Because there's so much chaos. That's where Anran thrives. Now again, with the objective stuff, if there's already someone on the payload and your teammate is actually fighting people over here, right? Just go help your teammate, right? Your Juno is going to be able to push the payload just fine. Dash up, help your Malga. Because your Malga's fighting free right now and we're just doing jack shit. And like, I'll even show you the picture. Look, he's fighting the demons and like, you're just not helping until the cart brings you to people, right? Because again, if you kill these guys like before they get on the cart anyway, well then you could just push the cart for free. But if you let them touch and you just walk up because you didn't shoot any of them, well then, you know, they're going to be able to walk on the payload and kill you, right? How did the Bastion kill everyone? That's my question. Oh, he flanked. Okay, that was a good flank from him. So here, we just need to get out. So now we can set up before the fight and we don't want to engage here. This is too greedy. You haven't done this too much, but again, you don't want to go in without any team because all of this, wow, you're getting so much value. None of this fucking matters because you're either going to end up dying or they're going to force you out because your team wasn't ready. What you should do instead, it's really easy. Take your hands off your keyboard and just wait. Wait for your team to respawn. Wait for them to get back. When the enemy starts shooting them, that's when you can drop. But like, you can notice, right? Not only do you drop in front of them, you could have gone over here and gone behind them, an off angle, but you're also doing it on your own, which just makes it super hard to get anything done, and you end up dying anyway, and now you stagger, which means your team isn't going to have an honor for the fight. Okay, Malga's in. Whilst I don't like this, you don't really have another choice. It's not, you know, it's not too heinous. Because you do get a way to disengage, right? Because you dash out and then boom, this, you know, this is fine. Stuff like that, you know, quick engages where you distract people, get out, nice. Alright, cool. We go in. You almost got too greedy, but we got out. You see how easy it is for you to just get in and out? Like even though you put yourself in such a bad position, you should have shot the turrets, by the way, right? Even though you put yourself in such a bad spot, because you're doing the in, the out, like they can't really do anything, right? It's really hard for them to play. And then you come back, Malga's in, distracting, pop the ult, you hit the shield because you're a chard. Right? But the idea was good, right? You should have went here and fired yourself here because then you would have actually hit people. But it's fine. Because like you can still get the kills anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So nice. Now again, instead of sitting on the payload, I would kind of go forward, poke a little bit, because like they're coming out of spawn, you can. Then, as they get closer, set up on one of these high grounds. Why? Because they're going to be focused on getting the objective or contesting it, which means you can just wait for them to get busy, and then drop on someone killable. And then just do the dash E combo. Why can you do the dash E combo? Because you've saved your cooldowns by just waiting up here. You know, you're not forcing anything out, you're just waiting up here. Because now, you see how they can touch for free? And you didn't even stop them, and then your Malga gets spit off, and then like you just end up losing the fight anyway, right? So you pushing the payload didn't actually help anyone. But had you maybe forced out Juno out by maybe, you know, poking over here, maybe you force out TP, maybe you force out turret form, you're making it that much easier for your team to actually win the fight when the enemies get to the card. Does that make sense? But you end up backcapping because it's bronze. Oh, well, I guess that's like a C9 because they won the fight and then they forgot the objective, but that's fine. So, like, good on you. And then I imagine you just end up backcapping again. Okay, so as Anran, most of the game has been the same thing. There's been some, like, differences, but I'd say these are your main four things. So let me write them out for you, okay? So, actually, yeah. So, good. This might take a little bit. So good are things I want you to keep doing more, and bad are things I want you to do less. I want you to off angle more, right? Do not engage people from in their face. Always find somewhere to get behind them, to the side, catch them off guard, okay? Then, and like you do a pretty good job of it, but I want you to keep doing the dash E combo, okay? Because the dash E combo is how you're going to actually kill people when you catch them off guard, because otherwise Anran doesn't do a lot of damage. This is how you actually get kill threat, okay? And then the bad things I want you to stop doing, you get very greedy. You go in, you know, 1v5 when you can't do anything, and you stay in too long, okay? So like this is like bad timing, and this is you just staying in too long. Doing this gets you killed or otherwise forces you out, and it makes you late to the fight. And doing this also, like gets you killed or forces you out of the fight. And then what is the next thing? Make sure it's like you. How can I word this? Make sure you don't not have a dash, because like what you do sometimes is that you're engaging in this circle and your dash is on like, like a 5-second cooldown and you can't get out, so then you end up dying. So do more of this, do less of this, and you will improve and rank up, my friend. And to anyone watching this, if you found this helpful, you can get more coaching from the first link in the description. I'll give you a free coaching call. Just sign up, book a call, and we'll chit chat, and we'll kind of go into like personal analysis of your own gameplay. So if you found this helpful, you can go check that out. And if you want more in-depth guides on, how to play heroes, understanding the game, understanding how to kind of fix your mindset to have more fun in the game and be a more positive person, you can check out the second link in the description, which is my Overwatch Mastery School. It's just where I go like super in-depth and autistic on all of the Overwatch information that I know. But if you found this helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.